Welcome to the first episode of Talking with My Mouth Full. I'm Rahul Akerkar, and this is my attempt to explore our relationship with food, interesting people from different industries, and I guess their take on food too. So, whether you look at it as sustenance, or for some people, think of it as a business, you might even look at it as an indulgence. Or, like me, I think of food as a blank canvas on which to paint and create something new. So there's no denying that food forms an integral part of all our lives. Today, I'm in conversation with Aryaman Birla, who's making big strides into this business. He is the founder of the Aditya Birla New Age Hospitality Group. We're at a new restaurant called Ode here in Mumbai. And in keeping with the theme of this venture, this episode is going to be about an ode to entrepreneurship. So let's find out what Aryaman's connection with restauranting is all about.
Thanks
Welcome,
for having me.
Aryaman.
It's
Yeah.
a pleasure to be here. And great to be at Ode. This is our first restaurant together, first project together. And I feel extremely proud to be here. It's been a journey, but a really good one.
Yeah, it's been, It's been about a year in the making. We are at Ode right now, getting ready for lunch. And I'm just really grateful that we've been able to do this journey together.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's come together so nicely. You know, we were very clear about what we wanted. A place of international standards, something that the city hasn't, seen, innovative, yet very approachable. And I think it's exactly what we've got. I had my first meal at Ode just last night, and the food was fantastic. The ambience was fantastic. It was buzzing. So many unknown people. It feels great to see that our place could put a smile on so many people's faces.
So tell me, growing up, what was food in the Birla household?
Oh God, I think it's the same even now. Anyone who knows me well knows that I at least can't live without paneer.
Paneer.
So that's staple food for us at home. Good paneer makhni with roti, dal, and some curd. And that's basically both my meals, lunch and dinner. And it's always been that way. I also have, some aloo, bhindi, just the normal, very, very normal. We've grown up on that. We obviously enjoy going out.
So it's pretty much vegetarian though, right?
We are vegetarian.
Yeah.
We've always been vegetarian. I eat egg now.
Oh, okay.
We enjoy our food. We
Yeah.
enjoy our conversations over food. We enjoy coming together over food.
Sure.
But our meals are not extravagant in any manner. We love our ghar ka khana, just normal food.
Sure.
It's always been that way.
It's interesting because, for myself also growing up, it was pretty much that, food just happened. It was the centering place in the house a little bit. I guess you could say that, everyone came together around the table.
But what sort of food was this? Because
For me,
from what I see at Ode now, very eclectic. Is that inspired by your home?
I don't think the eclecticism really happened from childhood. From a point of view that, we ate pretty simply at home too. It was just a complete melange of like Indian and Western food because that was, that's my heritage. So it kind of got all mixed up a little bit. Having said that, my dad's mom, my Aji was an amazing cook, and so her meals are very, Maharashtrian, from the coast of southern Maharashtra. So I grew up with all that, which is I think why my taste buds are kind of screwed up today a little bit. But anyway.
But very interesting the way that you bring all the flavors together through your experiences. I find it very fascinating.
Yeah. I like the profile of, I've always enjoyed that sort of khatta meeta, sweet, that sweet sour profile in food. It just makes everything really nice and fresh. So tell me, historically, traditionally, the Birla Group is in sort of these heavy industries, cement, carbon black. So why F&B? I mean, isn't that like a radical switch?
I don't know if it's radical, chef. I think obviously what you spoke about is a large footprint of our businesses. We also do have, 20 years ago, getting into the fashion industry also would have been quite radical, but it obviously is very core business now for us. I think for me, I truly enjoy bringing experiences to the consumer. I find it very fascinating how a place like this, a bare shell, we can put all of these different elements, amazing service, the interiors, the food, the love, and get people in, and just to see that experience come to light is something that I'm very fascinated by. I also think that food as a tool evokes so many conversations, so many of our memories, our core memories happen over food, over a meal, whether that's with friends, family, business deals. So food is so core for us.
Sure.
And I think just the two coming together was something that I found very fascinating. I don't think one can happen without the other. I don't think we can start a restaurant without knowing what the economics will look like, knowing what it takes to start a restaurant.
Sure.
But at the same time, it can't stop there. That's just the start. And therefore, I think the partnership between the both of us works so well, exactly because of that.
Well,
What do you think?
I'm sort of enjoying this a lot because, for once, I don't have to deal with the Excel spreadsheets anymore. So
No,
it's
but I think, when
And I can
we
do what I
first
love
met,
doing,
when
so.
we first met, and I would love to, it's been a couple of years, so I would love to chat about that.
Sure.
But I think that was the idea, right? We said that we would bring all of this planning, and you said that you would bring all of the art, and we'd mix the science and the art together, and here we have it.
Here we have it.
I would be very curious to know, over these 35 years, what's the one or two biggest changes that you have seen in the Indian consumers' food preferences or preference to go out? What have the changes been like?
I think it's to do with exposure. It's to do with education. It's to do with travel and all that. And today, I think we are a lot more traveled and exposed than we were back then. We now are familiar a lot more with concepts from overseas. Plus, I think the internet, TV, all of that has had a ton to do with it.
So,
In terms of exposure to food shows, cooking shows, all of that. So I think there's a general step up, probably an exponential growth even, in people's ability to vocalize their preferences with food. I mean, back in the day when I first had Under the Over, people would say I like something or I don't like something, but they couldn't tell you why. Now they can tell you, yeah, it's overcooked, there's too much time, and they're a little more specific now because they have the vocabulary, right? They've like traveled, they have the exposure, they have the vocabulary. So I guess in a nutshell, you have more of a discerning clientele today, right? You have people that understand food a lot more, or who are at least very certain now about their likes and what they don't like, right? So because they've traveled enough and they're comfortable in their own skin enough to say that. That's one side of it. The other thing is, I think the Indian food scene has seen over the last several years now, it's gone through its own evolution from way back then till today. There was a period, I think, a few years ago where we were full of mediocrity.
Sure.
I think we've taken a step forward now. There are a whole slew of new restaurants that are now that have started where they've really stepped up. There's a whole slew of young chefs who've, who are now in the industry. There's like this core group of talent here now, which none of this existed back then, right?
I also think that you can't get too attached to your core product. You have to keep innovating.
That's for sure.
Finding something new. Because people want novelty all the time.
Yeah, not only that, but as time goes on, I mean, people eat differently. I mean, the way we ate back in the late 80s and the early 90s is a lot different than the way we eat now, Now we not only eat, with our mouth, but we eat with our phone. That's like a whole other thing to contend with too, right? Everybody now is a food critic. Everybody, you're like stuff. What you're doing winds up all over instantaneously.
But isn't that good? I mean, people also have their opinion, and you're open to more criticism, of course, or constructive feedback. But it also means that you can reach so many more people.
Sure.
So many more people are aware of this restaurant called Ode.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
also is a big change from, 89.
Yeah, it's a big change. I mean, I think just the way people approach food is entirely different, and it's not just food. And I think in '86, and I used to always we had this argument that we always had. I say I'm very old-fashioned in that I still believe that people fundamentally go to a restaurant to eat. 80 was always more from the experience side of things. And we always argued about it. And I think the truth of the matter is it's both. It's to do with yes, your food has to be good. It's got to be consistent. All of that. It's got to make you want to come back for more. But at the same time, our lives now are so. I think there's so much white noise in everything we do that you need to have that amount of stimulation even when you eat. So you need like an entertaining space. You need visually to be drawn into it. Maybe from a music, point of view, whether it's a DJ or something like that. I think all this plays a part now. It's
But I
also
think it's also
our lives.
it can be two completely different occasions as well. So if I want to come with family, have a good meal, quiet meal,
Yeah.
I go to place A, let's say. and
Absolutely.
Ode. Whereas with friends, I may go to a louder place where the experience plays more of a part in my decision-making process than the food.
I can see that this whole conversation has changed. It's like I'm now in the
No, I'm so interested. We've never spoken about a lot of these things.
No, we haven't.
So I'm very interested to pick your brains. I mean,
Pick
so
away.
much to learn from you.
How do you think you want to take this forward? Do you want to do it organically? Do you, or do you have like a
The-
real
which-
rollout plan and for like F&B and just get it going? In terms of we'll do so many restaurants next year and so many restaurants next year and that kind of thing.
I mean, we're quite scientific about it. Like, we obviously have a plan in terms of our expansion, how many restaurants we want to do, which ones we want to do, where we want to do, which exact location we want to do. We're quite scientific about it. But we also are flexible. We also want to be able to be agile and figure it out as we go. But yeah, of course, we do have a master plan. We want to be able to get into different segments of the food and beverage service industry as well. So yeah, I think we'll see how it plays out. I don't want to say too much because we want to execute and then
Sure.
let the work speak for itself.
There you go.
But of course, we do have plans for that.
Tell me, when you travel overseas, you miss your food at home? I mean, in other words, are you like the Italians who, even if they're climbing on Mount Everest, will want a plate of spaghetti, or like the average Indian who goes abroad wants to eat their dal chawal?
No, not really. I really enjoy trying new cuisines, trying new experiences, and I think when you travel, it's a great time to do that. So I try and maximize that when I'm traveling. And obviously, you find the odd Indian restaurant somewhere and you have a good meal. But I don't need to keep coming back to my comfort food per se. That's not something that I require.
Sure. I just mentioned about eating with your phones, right? Are like you one of those Instagrammers who have to take pictures of your food?
No, not at all. I'm a very lousy Instagrammer. I wish I was a little better, a little bit more strategic about how to post, when to post. I don't get it. I like to be in the moment. I like to experience it with my own eyes. A little traditional that way, I guess.
So,
But
so you
I
don't
don't want to
take
live through my
pictures of
phone.
the food? You don't take pictures of the food when you go to a restaurant?
No.
No. Okay.
Very rarely. But even more than that, when we travel, for example, I can't be living through my phone. I don't want the memory of, an experience like that to be through my phone. So I'm very much someone who wants to live through my own experiences through my own eyes. So Instagram takes a backseat for me.
Do you cook?
very embarrassing, but I can't cook at all.
Would you like to learn to cook? Do you think it's
No, I would love it. I think
do you
it's an essential
something
life
important?
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think
an
it should
essential
be
life skill.
it is for sure.
Yeah, I wish I knew how to cook. I'm honestly very
Swimming,
embarrassed.
riding a bike,
Yeah,
riding a two-wheeler,
Correct.
right? And cooking. I think these should be essential
yeah.
life
So the
skills.
third one I still have to get to. I tried a little bit during, that lockdown, but I think everyone tried then.
Yeah, yeah.
And wasn't very successful at all.
So, is there like a dish, for example, that is loved by everyone at your house? Is
No.
there like a
I think we're all...
Birla, favorite?
No, I think we all have our own favorites. What I would love to learn how to cook is like a good dosa. I think it's very versatile. You can have it at any point in the day. I love dosa. So I would love to learn how to cook that. I'm guessing it's fairly straightforward, right?
Yeah, there's a little fermentation involved, or the batter and stuff like that.
That you
need
can
to-
buy ready-made batter, no?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so I'll go down that route.
There you go. Do you have like a favorite restaurant?
In Bombay.
Bombay, here, anywhere?
So as a family, we used to celebrate a lot of when we were traveling, a lot of, if we were traveling during, let's say, birthday, we used to go to Zuma a lot.
Okay.
So we really liked that restaurant a lot. We've celebrated a lot of my birthdays, my sister's birthdays.
What about it?
I think the food was very nice, simple, light, yet very delicious. The entire experience was very nice. It was a combination of the two.
So, this is actually very, very interesting, because when you say that you have a favorite restaurant, that means that there's something in that formula there that they're doing which catches and holds you, right?
Yeah.
What do you think that is? In other words, why do some restaurants work and some don't? I mean, I'm like asking you this because now as you embark on this whole thing about being a restaurateur also, right?
I think food has to be approachable. I think that's very important. For repeat, I think that's important in this business. You want people to come often, so food needs to be approachable. Food needs to also be innovative in terms of you need to keep changing at least parts of your menu, parts of your offering, because otherwise it gets boring beyond a point. While obviously maintaining maybe some parts of the core or what consumers love. The other thing I think is just listening to the consumer. I think constant feedback is very important. Incorporating that into your experience. And yeah, I think also just the ambience is very important, like you said, in today's day and age. It's not only the food, it's not only the experience, it's both
the
coming
entire
together.
package.
And it's the small details as well, right? It's the music has to be good, the air conditioning has to be at the right temperature, the crockery and cutlery has to be pleasing. So I think it's all of that coming together. I don't think there's a silver bullet.
No.
Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, I just want to touch upon one thing, which is to do with your alternate life, which you had for a while as a sportsman. What was that like? I mean, you were clear that you wanted to play cricket.
I played since I was like 8 or 9, and I think it taught me very essential life skills: resilience, rigor. Just believing in the process as well, believing in yourself. Those are, I think sport just teaches you so much. There's so much up and down on a daily basis in sport. It's almost very binary, right? Your performance.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with both the ups and downs in a manner, in a very equanimous manner. So I think that's a big life lesson. For me, to be very honest, I also got to travel India in a very different light. Playing cricket, I traveled across the country, different states, within India in a way that I wouldn't have otherwise. So I got to see India in a light that I'm very grateful for, and I wouldn't change that experience for anything or replace that experience for anything. It taught me a lot.
Were you always not going to continue with cricket?
No, I don't think that I ever thought of it that way. While I was doing it, I obviously wanted to do my best and play at a certain level, etc. But beyond a point, I had also done it for 6-7 years. I stayed away from home. I moved away from home to play for Madhya Pradesh. I played all my cricket from there, age group cricket to senior team. and it's also tired of the process. It takes so much of you,
Yeah.
a professional sport.
I can imagine.
And then speaking to my parents, obviously, I knew that at some point I want to get into the business. We had to time it correctly. And we just felt like it was the right time when I did it. And in hindsight now, I'm very glad that it worked out that way. Because I got those learnings, which otherwise I wouldn't have. And I can now, move on to the next phase.
All right, so let me put you on the spot for a minute. I'm going to ask you
God. Okay.
a few quick questions about food. Sweet, sour, sweet and sour.
Sweet. I have a big sweet tooth.
Really?
I can eat a good dessert at any point in the day.
What about your food? Are you like Marwadi food, which is in any case, it has like a sweet sour profile to it, no? A little bit.
No, just nice North Indian food is my go-to.
All right.
A good paneer makhani.
Paneer again. There you go.
I would have at any point.
All right. Something that you must have while you're at a board meeting, food-wise.
Food-wise, oh, that's a tough one. I can tell you what I would have. Generally, I would have good tea and toast.
Tea and toast?
Or a good coffee.
All right. What do you like about Ode?
What do I like about Ode? Honestly, I think it's the intangible of the love that everyone has. I can really feel it in the service. I feel like everyone's put in so much over the last number of months to be here. So much in terms of training, so much in terms of just going through the journey. It's been a long journey. And I think that everyone's really bringing their best in terms of the service. So I think that brings the place alive.
So yeah, I mean, it's been amazing talking with you. I just had one last question. Is like, where do you see this all going?
In terms of?
In terms of, what's your overall vision, if you want to call it that, for F&B and for you and F&B?
Look, I think one part is that we want to bring fantastic experiences to our consumers. We want them to be, every time they want to go out, like I said, we want them to be at one of our restaurants eventually. So that's one part of it. The second part of it, obviously, is we want to create value for our shareholders, but also for everyone involved, for our employees, for our community. So that's the second part. And the third part, just on the value for the community. I think food is such a powerful tool and source. And I think if we can really be a force for good through our business, for people at large, through the power of food, I think that would be a great achievement for us as well.
I want to thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Allowing me to probe a little bit.
No, thank you.
And pick your brains. But yeah, it's been.
Hopefully,
it's
the
been
next
great.
time we meet, we'll have a number of more projects together as well.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
Great. Thank you, Chef.
Thanks, Aryaman. Hey, guys. That was an interesting episode about the business of getting into food for the first time. I really hope you enjoyed our chat and that you'll join me next week as we get more interesting people and more conversations about food. I'm Rahul Akerkar, talking with my mouth full as usual. I'll see you next week.
IVM